when you ask the Lord for something in earnestness and in faith, I've been blown away by what has happened in my life. No one is more shocked than me.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Sharing Passion and Purpose podcast. My name is Nancy Moore, and I am the host of this weekly podcast that provides career and creative inspiration to help you build a passionate and purpose-filled life. You'll hear from guests that will help you tap into your creative potential, pursue a career with passion, and build on your biggest and best resource, yourself. I'm excited to have you join this conversation. I'm so happy you're here. Let's get started. Jill Stitt is co-owner of Colonial Title with her husband, Keith, and up until a few months ago, she was a silent partner. During this visit, you'll hear how a series of events set her on an uncharted and unplanned path of jumping into her new role of business development for Colonial Title. Spoiler alert, these events include becoming an empty nester and praying for a new testimony. You're also going to hear about how she's using her gifts of hospitality and customer service to create positive and memorable experiences for their clients and employees. You'll also learn more about how her efforts are redefining the company culture and increasing profits. I can't wait for you to hear from Jill about her faith, pursuing her purpose, and how she's sharing a little sparkle along the way. So, you guys, I am so happy to be talking to Jill Stitt today. She is a new, beautiful friend of mine, and we have just really bonded in a short amount of time.
Yes,
but
we have.
She is, I think, a cheerleader for women and has just an amazing story to tell. And so we'll just jump into it. And welcome, Jill Stitt.
Well, thank you, Nancy Moore. I am one of, I met a young lady at my office the other day, and I said to my beautiful newest friend, and you're probably in my top 10 newest friends because we just met a year or two ago at Katie Ruley's birthday party.
Yes.
So it's an honor for me to get to do this. Thank you.
I'm glad that you're here. So your life has changed in the past year pretty dramatically.
Yes, it has.
And so I'd love for you to kind of share a little bit about your background, and then we can talk about how your life has changed most recently.
Well, my background, let's see, I feel like the important pieces of that, I was in finance for 15 years. I was married for a brief period of time, had my little daughter, Andy, who's now 19, and at Ole Miss, her freshman year. And I continued to work. I stayed home with her. Then after I went through a divorce, and I was a single mom, and I was single for 10 years. And then I met my husband through my daughter went to Regent, and my husband's nieces and nephews went to Regent. So we met, and I got married, and then I pretty much for the next 9 years, I just raised my daughter, and I volunteered a lot with reading programs and literacy. It's very important to me, and I also love it. And did Bible studies. The Lord's done a lot of work in my life. I say I'm a preacher's kid, but I feel like I really only really started my journey with the Lord about maybe 3 years ago. I did a Bible study called Seeking Him by Nancy DeMoss, and it was life-changing for me, and I'm actually redoing it right now with some friends. We did it this morning. But the first time I did that Bible study, the Lord really dealt with me about forgiveness. The second time, He dealt with me about honoring my mother, and I feel like the Lord is doing a new thing in my life, and that Bible study has been huge for me. But anyway, kind of off topic, but I just would spend time doing Bible studies and helping with children and raising my daughter, and then took her to Ole Miss, and I thought I was going to stay at Ole Miss, and we rented an apartment there, and I thought, well, I'll just read my books and go on long walks and hang out in Oxford, Mississippi, which is a delight of a little town. But then I had something kind of extraordinary happen, and I brought my book because I'm so thankful that I keep a journal. Do you keep a journal, Nancy? Are you a journal keeper?
I used to, and I have gotten away from it, and I need to get back to it.
It's a very easy habit to get out of, but it's such I tell young people anytime I'm around them, I say, the best thing, I tell my daughter that. But I had come home from a trip, and I was very, very discouraged frankly, in my marriage. And there's probably a lot of women in your audience, and that's often family relationships. Relationships are some of our most challenging parts of life. And I was really discouraged, and I was having a hard time getting a different perspective. And I listened to a sermon that the minister, Tony Evans, said, if you've been believing God for something for a long time, and you've had a mountain and you feel like you're at the bottom of that mountain, and you've found yourself at the bottom of that mountain for a very long time, cast the mountain into the sea and ask the Lord for a new testimony. And it was a very simple way he said it, and I did exactly that. And I said, Lord, I want a new testimony. I'm tired of this silly conversation. And anyway, that was July 23rd of this last year. And the end of that week, I ended up going up to Colonial Title, which my husband's owned for 20 years. He and I have been married 10, but I've never, ever been involved there at all to any extent. And now I'm there working. My whole life is just completely, totally changed in every single way. And there's so much I could say about that, but it's just been really neat. And I say this to people, and I actually was saying this to my daughter today on the phone, but when you ask the Lord for something in earnestness and in faith, I've been blown away by what has happened in my life. No one is more shocked than me.
So that took such a different direction than what you thought it was going to be, because I remember you talking about how you rented that apartment and how you would be there all the time.
Yes.
And so
and zero stress.
Yeah, and zero
work.
Yeah.
Right? Just reading my little books.
Yeah.
Having the time of my life. Yeah.
So tell me about then how you got involved in, because now you are so entrenched in Colonial Title.
I am. The first thing I would say was I really felt tender-hearted for the staff, which there are 24 people there, I believe that's right. And of that, 21 are women, most of which either are or have been single mothers, primary breadwinners in some case. And I had a real heart for them. And so I really thought, well, I'll just go there and be a cheerleader and a glitter thrower and just kind of do my fun personality and make the day a little bit more enjoyable, but it would just be a very small piece of my life, very small piece of my month even. And I started doing that, and then a woman at the office, Delcy in particular, I would always say, is there anything I can do to help you? If I can help in any way, please let me know. And they would take me up on that and start asking me to go to client meetings or to go to brokers' opens or to help in a variety of ways, help us figure out, how to get a rug for the front door, we're out of paper towels, I don't know, whatever. No one celebrated my birthday, or my work anniversary was missed, just simple things. And so I just started doing the next thing in front of me. I just started helping, and because I was doing it, really, I felt as if I was just doing it not as work, but as love. I just had compassion, and because the Lord had dropped it in my heart, I very much enjoyed it, and I'm only just learning this really, that if the Lord had put this on my heart, well, he wouldn't have, but if let's say he did 2 years ago, it would have been an epic failure, because I would have been unable to sacrifice my time, because I worked out every morning. I love working out. I had great workout people. I love my friends, which I hang out with a lot. I love my books, which I'm in lots of book clubs. And if I had been asked to surrender my own will to do something greater, I would have been kicking and screaming. I could have never done it. So I knew that it was I know that now, that, I think we always wonder, well, we're worried about the next step. And at least in my case, in this example, he provided the next step. I went into everything completely blind, and one thing just led to the next thing. And so then I started kind of helping in marketing and meeting people, which it worked out beautifully because we had a new office. And so I felt like
a gorgeous office.
Thank you. And I love it, and I'm very proud of it too. But it just so happened that I started showing up there at the exact time that new office happened. And so then it was an easy transition for me to invite people over, to ask people if they wanted to come over for a cup of coffee or a quick tour. And in no way was I really ever thinking about business. I really wasn't. My superpower maybe is hospitality or connection, making friends. Hopefully, I hope my superpower is, because that was one of your questions, which I asked my girls today at Bible study. I'm like, isn't that an interesting question? But I hope my superpower is being tenderhearted and being a friend, helping people feel seen. And so anytime someone walks through the door, I want them to know that I want them to feel all the love that I have in my heart for that person. I like for people to feel cared for and seen. So that just sort of naturally became a product of my being in that space. And then, shockingly, at least shockingly to me, it led to business, which was really surprising, and it's been a really neat experience for my husband because he had no idea, nor did I, that I had any passion to work, or certainly to work this hard. So it's been really funny and a lot of fun for he and I to see all that has come from this thing. And so I always say this, and I try to say it every day in the car, but unless the Lord builds the house, they labor in vain who build it. And also I say a lot, make it evident that it's God's hand at work and not anything to do with me. And that's true. I mean, I want my life, we all hope that our life will be a reflection of something greater than ourselves. And in my case, as a Jesus follower, I want that to be a reflection of what He's dropped in my heart. So it's been just an amazing forum for that to happen in my life.
So it's been incredible to watch from outside of Colonial Title and, knowing you and what I know about you, but then start following the Instagram account, and I want to work there. I mean, it is
that is a high compliment, and people say that.
Yes.
They say that to us.
So the hospitality, though, and the customer service is just so important to you.
Yes, it is.
And it's so evident, but has that been a result? And you have a really fun theme, too, that I want to talk about at your office, but it has to do with the gift that I gave you. But tell me about the importance of that you, I guess, have been able to focus on customer service and hospitality.
Yes, that's just my name. I mean, that everybody has their thing. That's kind of my thing. I tell the story. My husband and I both enjoy entertaining, and one night we had Vivi and Jonathan Rivers, who are the pastors at Destiny, and they have 4 beautiful boys, one of my favorite families in the world. And we had invited them over to swim and have dinner. And their little boy, Rafa, he comes in, and he's probably 7 or 8 at the time, and we had the pool lights on, and we had everything ready, and he walked outside, and he said, "Wow, this is the real VIP experience." And he's just this little kid saying it, and it was hilarious. I mean, my husband and I, we always quote that line. But so I remember that at work. So, but really, part of that happened. You want people to feel at home. You want people to feel comfortable. And I guess as a young person, I felt odd. I guess every young person could say this, but I felt odd or didn't always feel included or welcomed in the space. And so I guess internally, there's something in me that really, I never want a person to feel that way. I want every person to really feel completely welcome. And I also want people to feel very special, because they are. And I say this all the time. If they don't come in the doors, we can't pay the bills. We can't pay our people. But I like making people feel really special. And that's been neat. We were in the Real Producers magazine this last month, which was a big honor for us. And the woman that wrote the article at the first paragraph said, walking into Colonial Title is like walking into a friend's home. If your friend has impeccable taste and a knack for hospitality, something like that. What a compliment, I thought, because that's really the motivation. You can go anywhere to do your business. You can have, there's a lot of different places to close your house. But I want to create a place where people really feel like family. And I know that's so cliche, but it really is true. And so that takes a lot of work to maintain those relationships. But that was really, I thought, anytime I said, for me, the biggest kick I get in life is if I walk into a room and I know every name, if I know every face. Like, I just get the biggest charge out of that. If it's little children, remembering we went to an event this week, Delcy and I, and all Hispanic agents. And when I walked in, Delcy said, do you know this person? And I was like, heavens, yes, I know this person. Because I take a lot of pride in because the number one thing people want to hear is the sound of their own name, right? So I take a lot of pride trying to remember names. And as you meet thousands of people and you're 52 years old, that gets a little bit harder. But so just making people feel like family and being hospitable is just kind of part of my DNA, I guess.
Hi, everybody. I thought we'd take a short break so I could announce my next event on Friday, March 7th from 11:30 to 1 o'clock. I will be hosting my special guest in a live podcast event. Her name is Rachel Lambert, and she is the founder and CEO of Brain Code Centers. Our topic is looking to level up. Maximize your brain's potential to propel you towards achieving the next level of success. With almost 2 decades of experience in brain mapping and neurofeedback, Rachel is uniquely equipped to offer specialized insight into brain optimization, brain health, and biohacking your brain. If you feel stuck, need to retrain your brain, or just want to optimize your brain's potential to level up in your life and career, please join this conversation. You can go to my website, sharingpassionandpurpose.com, and click the events tab, and I look forward to seeing you then. Now back to the episode. Well, it even overflows to the people who are working there. Mm-hmm. I think they feel so special. I've been on those lives to see whose name is drawn for the rustic half.
Yes,
which I just love.
Yeah. And they deserve that. You know, the people that work there have worked, for the most part, have all been there. He's had the company 20 years, 18 years, 15 years. They have been very loyal to that company. And I just felt like, not disparaging my husband, but they just needed more care and, to be cared for, and they deserve that. And it's been an easy thing to do because they, were kind of like sponges in that, we all want to feel, we work to get a paycheck, I suppose, but we also, you want to, if you're in a space for that many hours a week, you'd like to leave that knowing that you're valuable, mm-hmm. and that you're more than just, someone sitting at a desk, but that you have a great deal of value to that entire organization. So mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I enjoy trying to convey that message.
I love that. And another message that I love that resonates is the fun theme that you have, and I'm going to let you share
that. Well, we do have a wonderful theme this year, and it has been a ball. So, and I really do. Every good and perfect gift. We had 2 clients last year who won the Best in the World Realtor, and we were taking them to dinner. And I thought, well, we should do something. What can we give them that would be something kind of commemorative? Because that's a big deal. And I thought, well, I'll get these little globes. That'd be fun. And they're not expensive, but they'll put them on their computer. And oh, great, that'll be kind of a kick. And I did. And that was in September, I think. And then I told my husband, I said, you have got to have a Christmas party, because people were, all these agents would come through and they'd say, oh, we sure missed your Christmas party. And Keith had always had these kind of epic Christmas parties. So I started talking about that, and I came up with 2 different ideas about, I felt like I had 2 themes, one of which was Home Sweet Home, Welcome Home for the Holidays. And the other was, You Mean the World to Us. Well, I did do the Home Sweet Home, and we gave everybody cookie jars, and kind of that was and we had home cooked kind of macaroni and cheese and chicken and waffles kind of theme for our Christmas party. But that world thing, I kept thinking about it, and so I had this whole sales presentation, which I'd never done in my life, and I said, how about our theme for 2025 is You Mean the World to Us? And so we transformed our office, and we have this really cool, it's not a chandelier, but this fixture that when you first walk in, you've seen it on our Instagram, but it's really fun, and it's also come to mean even more to me as time has gone on. But then we decorate with globes, and then every time a client has their first closing, we have a postcard that says You Mean the World to Us, and we sign that. And then our ad in the Real Producers Magazine every month, I think this is February, so our ad this month said the quote, you may be just one person, but to one person you're the world, or the quote I'm talking about. And then next month we'll have something about I'm lucky you're in my world, or I don't know exactly how I come up with that. But we just kept that theme going, and then we have globes that we give for the third closing and the fifth closing and the seventh. And then at the end of the year, we'll have an around the world dinner for our top agents, which is, it's all just fun, but but it's really been fun to say that, so we do I try to take pictures every day to post on Instagram, because that's one of my processes. But when you say that enough times, it really gets in your mind. And you think about the great songs that talk about that, but when people leave, they often, every day someone comes in, what are all these globes? What's going on with the globes? Why are they? And so then we're able to share that, and invariably people, that's so nice. And they really appreciate and enjoy it. But what has really been even more fun, and it's fun, Nancy gave me a pretty globe today for my birthday. Is that a post-birthday gift, or
no,
just because you love me?
Yes, just because I love you.
Yeah, and then we had an art teacher in last week, and she had painted a globe with the Starry Night. So my mother gave me a globe for my Christmas. It's kind of taken on this whole new. And I think I have a theme for next year already dropped in my heart. But I know it's very exciting. You have to have me back next year so I can talk about it.
I will.
Thank you. I get to be on another podcast. No, what's been even better, having a deeper meaning for me, is we take those pictures every day beneath those globes, and this sounds a little bit woo-woo, but now when I see those pictures, or when I'm taking them, and the globes are positioned in a variety of ways, so you'll see the ocean, or you'll see a different continent. But when I'm thinking of that now, I think about the world that I'm living in, and in our case, we have a lot of Hispanic clients and agents, because Dulcie was the first bilingual closer in Tulsa, and she's been there 15 years. So because of that, we a lot of Hispanic people buying homes, that's where they would come, was to Colonial Title. And so I met a huge group of people who were from Venezuela and Peru and Mexico and you name it. And so I've made a whole new group of, just an enormous group of friends, Honduras. And so when I'm looking at those globes and I'm thinking about the world I live in right now and what's happening right now, just not knowing what 2025 was going to look like, and didn't know all these things that were going to be happening in our current culture. But it's so good for me to see that and to think about the love that I have for the people in this world. It just opens my heart, truly. And that's not jive. That's really, I really think, oh my gosh, this person. And it's also something that is I didn't appreciate or realize, is we're the last place someone comes before they go to their new home. We're there. So they always talk about, in an experience, if you read Unreasonable Hospitality or a lot of these books.
I totally think of you with that book.
I read a great book called The Power of Moments. It's an amazing book. We probably talked about that night at Katie Release. That's an amazing book. Bob and Dan Heath, I think, wrote that. But anyway, the last part of the memory is the part that sticks with you. So even if it's been a very difficult process from the beginning, or your lending, or your whatever you're dealing with, in particular in a closing situation, if we can make that moment really a beautiful, hospitable, joyful, safe moment, then that person leaves the experience with a good taste in their mouth, with a good perspective of what they have gone through. If they come to our office and it's not hospitable, it's not friendly, it's harsh, it's ringing a bell, it's disorganized, then they end their buying or selling experience with that same thing. So the word home, when I really think like we are a home, we're basically the gatekeeper, if you will. And so we're very often, it's new home buyers, it's young people that aren't not always young, but young couples oftentimes that are buying a home, and they're, yep, we're moving in. We're going to wait to move in because we're going to paint. But it's been really neat to think about, truly, like, that is an honor to be at the place where someone gets their keys. This isn't this is a real, a major event in people's lives. And so my husband always tells the story that when he bought his first house, of course I didn't know him then, that the closing company where he bought his house had fresh baked Otis Spunkmeyer cookies. And that's why we have those, because he remembered how special that was, that they had a tray of cookies. And so we have those they don't do this for all pre-signings, but for all closings. They have Kathy, our wonderful hospitality director, she has a tray of Otis Spunkmeyer cookies. And then when you get ready to leave, if you haven't eaten all your cookies, they put it in a cute little envelope and send you out the door with it. And we have that because Keith never forgot that experience. And then he always tells the story. But they also had a plastic portfolio, and they told you, to put your TV manufacturer warranty in here, put your thermos heater, HVAC system thing. And so Keith always remembered that plastic folder. So he's always been insistent that they had those two things. So, I just had when I bought my house, it was just a one and done. I guess I did it. I had no appreciation. I didn't even know that I didn't like closing company. I didn't even know I went to a closing company. Did I go to a closing? So it's been very different for me to see this in a new way as what could be a memory banker, which is what that book, The Power of Moments, we can help create a really positive memory for someone with just some thoughtfulness, Mm-hmm. So that's been really fun.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love hearing that. The whole feeling that people can get even with going to a title company, because a home is typically people's biggest purchase. So they could come into your office feeling so nervous.
I know. And I'm saying, so I'd invited an agent, Billy Joe Watts, and his beautiful wife, Teresa, to come to the office because I love them and I met them. And he used to be a minister where I went to church many years ago. And they were coming to the office, and I really wanted them to feel very special because they're very special people in my journey. And although they were there just a short time, they were very special to me. And so I said, Kathy, let's print their names and we'll frame it. When they walk in the door, it'll just say, "Welcome, Billy Joe and Teresa Watts." And it wasn't a big deal. We had that happen when we took our daughter to a Metro. The day we walked in for our interview, they had a big sign, "Welcome, Keith and Jill and Andy." And I was like, well, isn't that nice? And you know what's nice about it? I know I'm in the right place. I know I'm expected. I know I'm wanted. I know my visit is valuable. I know someone's planned ahead, right? I'm not walking in and they say, "Oh, who are you? We didn't have you on the schedule." And you're like, oh gosh, that stressful feeling like, am I even in the right door? Like when you go to the doctor's visit and you're wandering through St. John trying to find your wing and you're worried where you're parking and all these because it's like the same thing. It's a stressful situation when you're going to a doctor. For a lot of people, that's exactly how they've had their lending issues and their mortgage loan officer person and inspections and all kinds of stuff I didn't even realize happened. So yes, it can be a terrible, and we often have, in fact, some of the ladies at work tomorrow are doing special charcuterie trays because tomorrow, when we're recording, is Valentine's Day. And so just doing those little touches, and it's really also been great because then you're able to access different talents in the room, in our team. People have, very creative minds, and maybe they're spending their day typing, and so it's good for everybody to be able to use a different skill set that maybe ministers to them even more. So there's a lot of people in the office that are very creative and thoughtful like that, and so it's fun to see them when they say, "Hey, what about doing this?" And the people that have gotten involved in you mean the world to us. I mean, people are constantly at the office bringing me globes or sending me pictures of globes, or do you want me to buy this globe? And I'm like, oh yes, we can't have enough globes. So it's been fun to see the energy in the crowd. That's been really cool.
Yeah. So what is your title there?
Oh, I originally, when I thought I was just going up there to hang out and do some glitter and some food and some football parties, I named myself the Health and Wellness Director, HWD. But yesterday, my husband, it was snowing, and I said, I'm going to let everybody go home early. And he said, okay, YTB. He said, okay, YTB. And I said, YTB, you're the boss. So I think I would say I am business development. Okay. I guess is what I would say.
Okay. And it has, you don't have to say anything financially, but I feel like you have helped the business financially since you have been there. So it has been a year, right?
No, it was in July, the end of July.
Oh, it's just in July.
And as anyone in real estate knows, last year was not a great year. I mean, I'm new to this whole crazy real estate world, but it wasn't. It was a terrible year for real estate, realtors, lenders. It was not a great year. The last 2 years have not been spectacular, but it's just been fantastic. Again, when something more important than just making a living drops into your heart. Let's see, I went to Ole Miss and I came back the end of August. So September 16th, September 7th, I went to my very first Brokers Open ever, which I didn't even know that those existed. I didn't even know what that was. And that's where I saw Billy Joe Watts. And then so that was September 6th or 7th. And then I started posting on Instagram September 16th. I texted and said, I'm going to start taking over Instagram because we weren't using it. And I'm like, well, I'm not good at it, but I'm better than nothing, because the main thing is just people knowing you're there, right? It's just showing up. But yes, our months have been great. January, I think I can say this was up like 56% over a year ago, January.
I think we know what who we should attribute that to. I will say. YTB.
Yes, the boss. It has been a joint. I mean, I do not want to take credit for that. It has been everyone, truly. They needed a breath of fresh air, and they did need support, and I did bring that. But then since then, I mean, everyone's worked. I know we say this, we have really stepped our game up, and so everyone, including my husband, some people have always worked terrifically hard, but it has been truly a group effort, and everybody's very kind to me, which I appreciate because I'm a words person, so I love kind words, and they have been super kind to me. They've all been wonderful to me. But if I had just decided to do this on my own, it would have had maybe some success, but far less than has happened. I mean, I just know that there's never been, I mean, you think about my life, I've been married 10 years, I never thought about even going up there. So, I just know that it was God putting that in my heart to do, unbeknownst to me.
And the timing of it. Well, you were praying about it, so you were ready for something.
I didn't know.
Yeah, but you didn't know.
Was I ready for this?
Yes, and they were ready for you too.
Yes, apparently. Yes. I mean, I say this all the time. It's so funny to me because they had moved into that building, which I thought would be wonderful. It's a big building and nice and 2 stories. So I thought, I bet they're so much happier in that building. It's bigger and it's better. But no, they were hating it. There was no connection. They thought it was like a hospital ward because it was kind of long hallways. And that was it. I had been on vacation in July, the beginning of vacation with my dear Kathy, and she turned 50. And I said, Kathy, do you love the office? Is it wonderful? And she said, no, we are not happy there. I'm like, no kidding. And then my husband came home right after that testimony request I gave of the Lord on that Thursday night. And that was on a Tuesday, on Thursday night, and said, I've got to hire someone. The girls at the office are not happy there. We're having personnel problems. And so that's why I thought, well, I'll just go. And I was going to have a first Friday of the month party. And we had a college football party. Of course, now I never have these parties, unfortunately, because we're all working too hard. But that was my plan originally.
I think that you're still having fun.
We are still having a ton of fun, yes.
And the team that you have is incredible.
Yes, they are. They are wonderful.
Yeah, 100%. But I look at those Instagram posts and I think, I want to work there too. They're having so much fun.
Well, early on we had this, that's happened a couple of times. We have this happen. I mean, you just have some people that are just bringing the fun too. I mean, but we had a closing one day I hope I'm bringing the fun, but we have families that come and they're ready. And I told the story the other day, but we had this family come in and they had all these family members. It was huge. And we were just cutting up and laughing, which, maybe it should be a little bit quieter and more serious. I don't know. But it was a ton of fun. And it really was marvelous. And whenever they left, they stopped and one of the family members was visiting with Kathy at the front and said, I bet this is just the most fun place to work. And I'm like, yes! Because when you think of title, you don't always think of a good time. That's not generally how that goes.
You're changing the industry. You're changing it.
I hope so.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions in wrapping up because you have, in your time just this semester becoming an empty nester, starting this new role. So how do you invest in yourself?
Ooh, that's a good question. How do I invest in myself? Well, I'll tell you what I do every morning. Almost every morning on my drive in. I'm a big podcast nerd. I love learning. I love it so much. I'm so curious about everything in the world. I love it. And I love books. That's why I love books so much. And so I have to really discipline myself because I could just do that all the time. But I try every morning I have a Lauren Daigle Spotify list, and I turn her on every morning in my car. And so there's the one song. It's about how you see yourself. He says, you say I am perfect. They say, but you say. And I listen to that song a lot. I listen to that a lot. I am a very quiet person, believe it or not. No one believes that, but I really am. And so I love solitude. I love being home. I really get energized being home. I love it so much, and I'm not doing much of it. I like to laugh, so humor brings a lot of joy. I have a lot of very fun, fantastic friends. I spend a lot of time in the Word. I read Matthew 6 with a great deal of frequency. And even today, I was telling my Bible study friends, in Matthew 6, it says, when you're at the end of your rope, give a cheer, because with less of you, there's more of me. And so some days I feel like I'm at the end of my rope. And I told the girls today, I said, yeah, this is perfect. And I said, you're blessed. You're blessed when you're this, when you're that. You're blessed. In the Message Bible, it says you're blessed when you're at the end of your rope. And so, in a totally different life, sometimes I find myself where I feel a little bit at the end of my rope. But I would say that the Word is important. Those songs, I feel like really those worship songs do more in pouring into me than anything else right now in my journey.
And I love Lauren Daigle.
Oh, I do too.
She's
Did you see her at the Super Bowl?
Yes.
Oh, boy. And she's also just beautiful. Mm-hmm. But yeah, she's one of my favorites.
Yeah, totally a star talent. Okay, so in wrapping up, I'm going to ask you the question that is my theme, my podcast theme, and it's about thrive in 2025. So how you are thriving either personally or professionally.
How I'm thriving already?
In 2025, or even how you're planning to. But you're thriving.
I'm thriving. Well, I'll tell you, I'm very sober-minded in that I think I'm constantly thinking about my purpose. And that sounds like it gets pretty serious, but I really am. Like I was, someone recently, we were talking about bucket lists, which I get, there's things you want to do and places you would like to see before you die. But I'm like, really, do I care that much about what I see now? It's a little bit morbid, but I really do think about my purpose of loving people. And some days when I'm tired or down or, just into my own head too much, I'm very aware of, and I say this every time I pray, of becoming the hands and feet of Christ. And I know I sound like a total Jesus nut, but I'm really passionate. That's on my mind daily of when I got frustrated at work and I was short-tempered last Friday. In theory, I might have had a point to make, but I was so convicted Sunday night during the Super Bowl that no matter I was right or wrong, I am a person that I want to be known for my love. I want to be known for my kindness. And so if I'm walking outside of that, it really doesn't matter what the question was. The answer was love. And so I have to course correct. And so I had to send an apology. And then I had to go in the next day and do it personally and say, I'm sorry, I was not who I want to become. I was not. So I really want to be known as a person that has a tremendous amount of love. And I was even this morning with the girls saying, that song, they'll know we're Christians by our love. And you think about the world we live in right now, and it is a harsh place. It is. And so I think, at Colonial, all the girls are wearing hearts and love and all this, and that's so fun. But I'm like, it's so easy to wear the shirt. It's so hard to do the work. So I'm thriving in that. I want to become instinctually where I fall in the place of love, as opposed to I instinctually fall in the place of pride. Oh, you questioned me. Oh, you doubted me. Oh, you were unkind to me. You hurt me. You hurt my daughter. Or you hurt someone I love. And I respond in that sharp way. My thriving point is where I'm able to habitually respond in tenderness, and that's a pretty big task. Mm-hmm. But that's it. I guess that's probably going to be my main goal till I'm out of here.
I think you're doing a good job.
Thank you. Well, you're easy to love, Nancy. Not everyone's as nice as you.
You're sweet. You're very
Not everyone
sweet.
invites me into their beautiful home and gives me a cool globe. Not everyone does that. I wish they would.
You're so funny. Well, you are outstanding. I have enjoyed this conversation. There will be more globes to come.
Oh, I pray so. It has been my delight. I love podcasts, so thank you very much for having me to do this.
Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I appreciate you being here. And don't forget to connect with me on social media. Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn are at Sharing Passion and Purpose, and Twitter is at Passion Sharing. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.